Welcome to another episode of Advancing Consciousness podcast. Today we're going to be looking at the direction of the world and us. This is a hot topic for many people right now, and some way you can call it a concern because some of the things that are playing out right now can make us feel really uncertain about things and may bring up certain concerns of fear and so forth. So we're going to explore that and see what's really going on. So be part of it with us today. So welcome once again. So let's get to play. Let's take a look at what's the direction of the world and us. Right now, there's a lot going on, and it's pretty intense. And for many people have been experiencing that intensity and have been observing it around them, and it has brought up some concerns. Now, of course, people that are seen from a bigger perspective see the perfection in it all, and also sees how all of that is serving in creating such a powerful transformation, and it's creating opportunities for us to really shift from our old patterns and so forth. But the majority of the people are a little bit confused, feeling a little concerned. Yes, we have, some, projected threats and so forth of what's happening with a potential virus and lockdowns and the fact of the economy and presidential stuff going on, or in this case, electional or political stuff going on. The fact that, a lot of the stuff that we've accounted for and have been, using as a grounding for ourselves, as a security measure of some sort, and saying, okay, things are kind of status quo, we're working around and we're getting, comfortable with all of this, even though we're growing uncomfortable because it doesn't feel natural, but we're comfortable because then somehow we feel a little bit more secure and safe. Now, at this point in time, a lot of that is being stimulated and, how could I call it? Let's call it stimulating, but at the same time, became destabilized. And a lot of stuff is being accentuated in the polarity world, where people are taking different sides about anything and everything. And there's a lot more fear coming up, a lot more powerful emotions coming up. A lot of people are feeling in one way or another that, we are going into some dangerous territories and so forth. And what's going to happen with the world? What's going to happen with us? Are we going to actually survive? Are we going to actually make it? Or anything of that nature. There's a lot of different things that people are experiencing right now. So what is really happening at this point? Us personally, and also the world at this point. Well, we are going through a powerful transformation. I've talked about it in my series. I talked about it in a couple of the episodes in that we just did on the podcast. We are going through a powerful transformation. Okay, that's the bottom line. The transformation is about really making changes within ourselves, going into our natural state. What does that involve? It really involves letting go of every other aspects of ourselves that we've adopted and created as a reality for ourselves. And why is that happening? It's happening because, in a way, if we don't do that, then we cannot allow our newness, our trueness to come to the surface. And the planet is reflecting that. The planet is going through powerful energetic changes. And of course, it's all assisting us because the planet is really not, in one way harmed or another. It may not be super comfortable in what the dance we've been playing, for example, with some of the stuff that we are doing that are very polarized, but it has supported us at this point in time. So part of the changes, as I've talked about in the other episodes, is that, we're into stage 3 of this upgrade and this transformation that we're going on. So things are going to be accentuated. And because of those accentuation, it will call forth an uncovering and exposure of this other world that we've adopted. Not to see right or wrong or good about it, but just to see it that it's there, and that the fact that for us to look at it and say, okay, does this actually resonate? Does this actually align with where we are now and what we are embarking within ourselves? Because you have to understand, many of the souls that have come here, that have taken on physical forms, have come from more advanced civilizations, more advanced physical representation, more advanced planets and different dimensional consciousness and so forth. And the reason they come here is because they want to be part of this transformation that's going on. They want to play a more powerful role, but at the same time also be involved in experiencing the changes that are going on. And so they're contributing. Others have come here and wanted to go right into the depth of getting lost and so forth, and then go through gradual transformation within themselves. So that's what people are experiencing. Now, of course, the discomfort and so forth that we're feeling is because, yeah, we are changing, and a lot of the other stuff that we had from the past, or, a lot of the old memories and patterns and programs and so forth that we've taken on is now being challenged and purged. And so we could see it more clearly. But the thing is, it's becoming easier to let it go, because holding on to it not only lowers our vibration, but holding on to it is actually allowing us to experience even more discomfort. Because the thing is, it's like a strong wind. If you're going to hang on to it, it's going to feel very intense and very uncomfortable, or in this case, almost to the point you can't hold on. But when you let go and flow with everything, then you'll see that things are quite a bit different when it comes to the experiential component of it. So we are going through very powerful changes, but those changes are not to come to a point where either we make it or break it, or the fact that we're not going to be able to survive or anything of that nature. The whole survival thing is thrown out the window. The whole thing that we have to fight to exist or anything of that nature is going out the window. The fact that we have to earn our way through this, or that the fact that we have no right to be here, and the fact that it's a privilege to even have here, to be here and to also even play the role, is out the window, because that is not really our natural design, never has been and never will be at this point in time. The fact that you've come here, you have full access to everything, and because you're here, you've chosen to be here, but you have also agreed with all the souls that are already here, and the collective and Gaia, to be here. It's not like you imposed yourself here. You kind of went through a whole scrutiny of sorts to be able to come onto the planet at this point, and what you had to offer, what role you were going to play, and approximate the time that you were going to be here, meaning arrival and departure. Now, some have come and say, okay, I'm going to play just this role. So they have a period of time where they say you can only be here until then, because you may hold back the energies of the changes that have to occur, and also the shifting of consciousness, because you're not going to interact or use any of that higher consciousness. You're going to still maintain a certain polarity. Now, of course, that serves to a certain degree, but the obsolescence is coming through at this point in time for many of them not to need it. However, a lot of them have stepped up to the plate to even play more intensified, just to help us move forward in a powerful way. And a lot of us that have come here already knowing that they were going to play a very powerful, active part in all of this, have been stimulating themselves. And no matter what they've taken on, whatever they've experienced and loaded up as part of the old experience, which was all inverted matrix, inverted 3D, 2D type of thing, they're purging that very quickly. And some of them have purged pretty well almost all of it, so that they are reflecting their true essence. And they're also facilitating the body to go through the changes, and the human entity to go through the various upgrades and purging of sorts that's taking place. So that's where we're at, and the direction we are going to continue. And as we continue down that direction, we will become more and more consciously aware of who we are, why we're here, what we're doing, and how we can actually utilize not only this physicality, but the playground we call Gaia, but also how instrumental we are in the progress within our solar system, within our galaxy, within our universe. Now, the planet, is it going to go into destruction? Absolutely not. We've made it very concrete and firm that we're not going to go in that direction. And should we require any assistance, which we are getting, to make sure that in one way or another that we will not end up in a situation where we're going to reset the planet, and all sentient beings, including ourselves, will no longer be here, and then we'll have to kind of start all over again. Because right now we're so interconnected and so vital, in a sense, to the progress of the solar system and the galaxy, because of our positioning, because of our role as the planet itself being the hub at this point in time of the quadrant of the galaxy that we're connected with, and all the 400 planets that are interconnected with us in our quadrant, that there is so much attention, so much focus on making sure that we stay on track with some lineage. Lineage? Can't think of the word right now, but with lenience to be able to vary accordingly, so that it provides us the most concrete. So the direction is that we are upgrading our whole planet. We are reactivating our true design and blueprint of Gaia that was established, programmed, activated back in 15,000 years ago when planet Earth was retooled. That is being restored with its upgraded version. Of course, we became online with our organic matrix, and that the organic matrix has been upgraded, and it's upgrading us to be able to play more freely, still giving us some allowance at this point in time to kind of do the integrating and the converting process that we have chosen to do, so that we engage more of our empowered state and be able to navigate much more with ease while we're doing it. So that's all taking place. So the planet itself is going to continue to go to this upgraded restoration, go back to its regular frequency, but also at this point in time, in its upgrade, has now been upgraded to be able to go all the way of utilizing energies and consciousness that are related to the 12th dimension, or 12th dimensional consciousness. So that being the case, the upgrade is actually preparing us to really experience things much more profoundly and powerful. So the planet itself is purging a lot of low density energies. It's transmuting it. It's purging it in different ways. It's actually playing out certain parts of it. It's actually its construct and how it operates, and everything is changing. Some shifting is occurring within it. Certain grids and portals are opening up and have been opening up for a while, but more of it will come in alignment. It'll be on and off type of thing, because certain inputs are only required just for the start, and not to be carried on in a large way or further down the way. What's happening to us, the direction that we're going, we're completely redesigning ourselves. Our cells are rebuilding. We are shifting from the carbon to silicate and to crystal more and more. We are all three already, but more of the focus has been, from the majority of the people, more carbon, which holds a little lower spectrum of light and can play in polarity, but at the same time, it doesn't carry the same spectrum of light, but the same frequency. As you go to silicate, that's already increasing. And then if you, in crystal, you actually become much more powerful receivers, transmitters of that energies, and you carry a lot more codes, a lot more energies, much more spectrum of light, much more sourceness within it. And that gives us more flexibility, and the body becomes less heavy, less maintenance full, so that the body actually sustains itself much more, and it can go back to its original design, where it actually took the energies to sustain itself from the light codes and the energies and the spectrum of light coming from the sun, the energies that is in the air, the energies that is in the water, and the energies coming from Gaia, where we no longer require to consume what we call food, which was never our original design. So that's part of us here. So really, we're going through an upgrade on the human experience, but the human representation as this holographic expression. It's not a demise, it's not a destruction. Even the amount of codes that we have taken in that could compromise and has been compromising many, many people, creating illnesses and what we call disease, which is lack of ease, or basically creating malfunctionality in the body and creating a heaviness and a heavy maintenance of the body, that is also being purged, and all of those codes are being deactivated more and more as we go along. Part of us that's going on, we're becoming more galactic by allowing the different energies and transmissions coming from all the different DNAs to take more of effect and to upgrade our physical representation. so that our body will carry not only more light, but actually be more receptive and connected to all the different species contributors that exist within ourselves, because we are a very powerful hybrid that carries 12 different species, in some cases as low as 9 if you're you've taken on a certain particular task, and some others go as high as 14, but those numbers are really, really small quantities that actually exercise any of that. The majority, is the 12 different species. And that's been consistent throughout. The modifications only occurred the last few years, only to play various roles. Now, some have been here a little longer with the extra DNAs, and in some cases a little less DNAs, because their emphasis was playing various roles, and they didn't require. They had made further commitments to bring in certain energies. Now, those physicalities were modified, of course, because anything that comes from another human would, at this point in time, come with a 12 DNA strands. So then usually the modification would occur through other interventions, and I won't get into the details of the intervention. So right now, what we're looking at the world is, it seems like it's falling apart. It seems like it's getting even crazier. It seems like it's going into a dark, dark stage, but that's not the case. The darkness is being, or that unconsciousness, or those limitations and those structures that supported that and that reinforced that was never natural, is now being purged. And first of all, it's being accentuated so that we are seeing or experiencing, getting our fill or saturation of it, but at the same time to be able to actually transmute it and let it go, because once it's no longer supporting us. So we will notice a lot of the system structures and so forth that we created as a part of our reality, and a lot of the things that we have created, other versions of ourselves and so forth, will continue to purge, continue to dissolve, continue to come out of the equation of the experience, and then we become more pure in our design. And then what we are going to shift into, and this is the direction of the world, is to go from separation to unification. And this is why we talk about oneness, about 0 point at this point, which that unification requires to the recognition that we're all aspects of each other. We're all here to play together. And the only way we really, truly progress is all of us working together. And by working together, we're not only upgrading ourselves, upgrading our physical operating system and our bodies, but we're also upgrading the playground we call Earth. So all of it is working hand in hand. So right now, of course, it's going to look chaotic, because a lot of us has put a lot of attention and a lot of trust and a lot of connection to the fact that the system was our support mechanism, and that a lot of that is being destabilized. And this is absolutely necessary for this destabilization at this point, only because the fact that it no longer serves us where we're going. Now, like as I said in previous episodes, that we are in stage 3 that started in 2020, and here we are. This is going to continue into 2021, 22, and then before we go into 23, we're looking at a different stage. And in that stage, we're looking at something a little more different, and it also prepares us to be fully integrated into organic 3D and organic 5D, and no longer using any of the memory of the inverted matrix or other versions of ourselves that represented the inverted matrix, inverted 3D or 2D. So all of that stuff will be purged, and the intent is to be purged completely by the end of 2022, so that when we enter into 2023, we can go into the next stage of our evolution. So the direction that we are going is in a very powerful way, a very beneficial way. Not that any of it has ever been non-beneficial, but it is beneficial to match where we are, not only galactically, universally, solar, but also within ourselves. Because many of us are advanced souls. And what I mean by advanced, because no soul is better than any other soul. There's no creation that's better than any other creation. They're just at different levels of accessibility of sourceness, so that they can have various experiences. You can elevate up and down as you choose, but at the same time, you also know that you are going to choose something that's going to support, and at times you're going to choose something of lower, because there's a requirement for that to play. It doesn't make one better than the other. This whole idea there's good, bad, right, wrong, evil, and all of that stuff, Those are distractional in a way, but it's also beneficial because that was part of the thing we wanted to play with. But that's a concept. It's all made up. It's not true because we're all source. As source, we create all different types of spectrums of experiences. We can play unconscious, super unconscious, and activate and play in what we call negative energies, and then we can also play positive energies. But the thing is, positive and negative are still part of source, but positive and negative, this is not its natural state anyways. Those are still polarities. And then really is taking the positive and negative and blending it together and creating that 0 point, that neutrality, that oneness, that unification. Now, the other part we're shifting from is from competition to collaboration. We're going from the fact of taking advantage of each other to cooperate with each other, to play with each other, to see each other in the beauty that we are without comparison, judgment, or anything of that nature. And these are all the things that are unfolding as we go along. So that's where we're going. That's the direction of the world. And that is something that we've chosen on a collective scale to do so. And the collective doesn't stop only on planet Earth. The collective is also involving the solar system. It's involving our galaxy, and it's involving the universe. So those are all levels of agreements. Now, the souls that are here right now, as yourselves that are listening to this, have chosen to be part of that journey. Now, how long you're going to stay here is up to you. What role you play is up to you based on what you have chosen. And that is all flexible too. You can change it at any point in time. None of it is rigid. And you're not locked into anything. You have the opportunity to shift any part of it at any point in time. And that's the beauty of it. And, the self-realization that you are more than this physical representation is coming more and more into play, so that you start to create more consciously. You're also starting to realize more and more that this is a game, and you've come here to be part of the game, but to transform the game. You're also realizing more and more that the idea that you were sovereign, that something controlled you or had power over you is dissolving, and you see that you have sovereignty and that you are ultimate sovereignty, and then there's nothing that applies to you. You have the freedom to choose cooperate or collaborate or whatever you want to do, and how and what role you want to play at any point in time, and that you always have free will and always had the free will, and you can never lose free will. And the fact that the right that you gave as part of the experience to have somebody shape your free will, and meaning that telling you how to use your free will, you're coming to a realization, hey, I did that, but does it serve me anymore? No, I don't think so. So you're basically now restoring the fact that you are going to use your free will to your own desire, or what you feel most conducive to play. The other thing is that part of the things that are changing within ourselves and also being reflected in the world is that you're becoming much more aware of the flexibility, and that you are a creator, and that not only are you a creator, you are your own creation and the observer of creation, and that the fact that you are transit fluid, and that there are no limits, and you're immortal, infinite beings that will take on form, and you expand and you contract. And when we're talking about expanding and contract, you duplicate yourself with slightly different signatures, and then you merge. And sometimes you call them as soul families, sometimes you can call it human entity families, and so forth. But that expanding and contraction is basically part of the process. As beings, we are always evolving, always expanding, always growing, no matter what. Even in the inverted matrix, inverted 3D and 2D, we still gained some experience, some growth, some expansion, and so forth. And this is one of the reasons that you can do what you can do now, because of some of the stuff that you went through at that point in time. Now, what you went through is actually helping you to accelerate much more quickly, because you reach such a saturation point that you no longer need to go back into that state that of before. So taking all that in consideration at this point in time, we are going into the direction where we are really bringing the world, which is the playgrounds that us humans come to play with or play on, and the role that it plays, it's being restored completely, and that it's going into its upgraded version, so that the playground will kind of be restored as what we used to call it as Eden, in a sense, because we will look at the makeup of the world in one of the other episodes as we go along, not to make this one too long. but at the same time we're going into that. Now it's going to take a few years and so forth. Like I've said, we are in different stages. This other stage is going to go till the end of 22 before going into 2023. The capacities for us to access what we call inverted matrix operating system, the AI, which we call the ego, and the inverted 3D and 2D reality and playground will be completely cleared out by the end of 2022. That's the intent, and that's what we're aiming for, and that's what we are working diligently to do so. The next phase of it is after going into 2023, it solidifies a little bit more for us to be much more integrated into organic 3D and organic 5D. The organic 3D and 5D will provide us exactly what we require and what we will do as a collective in those realms. And there's more to the breakdown, which I'm not going to get into this. And I've covered some of it in my series. Some of it I've covered in some of my workshops. But I will cover more of it in the podcast in the following episodes as we go along. But at the same time, as we see all of that playing out at the moment, we will be fully more integrated in that, but we only have until 2035, basically at this point in time, to complete our journey in the organic 3D before we merge into organic 5D. So by the time that, and that can happen anytime, it doesn't have to be the full term. The full term is only the term that is the cutoff point. And then from 35 by 2035, as everything stays on track right now, it can vary slightly one direction or another. Most likely the intent is to shorten it rather than lengthen it. But then everybody will be in organic 5D, which is basically, you're having a human experience, but you know that you're more spirit, where the organic 3D is like you're more human having a spiritual experience. That's the only difference. But there's a little bit more focus in the organic 3D of the physical realm, but not the physical realm that we have been representing the last 10,000 years, where everything was inverted, where you got lost in the game. It's not to that capacity. Organic 3D is no better than or no less than organic 5D, and vice versa. It's just they're different experiences, giving us different opportunities to be able to play on those two platforms. So once it merges by 2035, when the cutoff is then we will all go through a 5-year period. It could be less than that. It can be as low as 2-year period to integrate organic 5D, so that everything is designed all on the basis of organic 5D. And of course, the world will even change even further. Now, from that point to where we are now, we're going to notice a lot of the structures, a lot of the systems that were created in inverted 3D, 2D, and inverted 3D will start to break down, dissolve. A lot of the systems being, like I've said in other episodes, the governmental, the military, to the monetary system, to the religions, to health operating systems and educational systems and other systems that exist right now that are supporting different operating states of being. Those will start to transform and then dissolve in most cases. Some of them will completely redesign, but utilizing a complete different capacities. So all of the stuff that has been untrue will come to the surface. This whole disclosure thing that they're talking about, it's just basically showing us where we've been playing, so that we have a little bit more of an insight, so that we can be more active in making those changes take place. None of this is here to restrict us in any way. It's actually enhancing. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention before we cut it off is that the ride can get bumpy, and it's going to get bumpy to some degree, depending on how much we hold on to the old world, the old version of ourselves and so forth, and how many program stories that we have, and how much focus we are putting in what we're playing with at this point in time of the inverted stuff that we are purging within ourselves. So the bumpiness will only feel because of the fact that we'll be going through a tug of war within ourselves, because there's a part of us that wants to hold the old and the other part wants the new. and the new is becoming much stronger, so it's going to feel like a little destabilizing. Besides the system being destabilized, you're going to feel a little bit destabilizing. But if you go with the flow, you just allow things to kind of unfold, it's going to be a lot easier ride. So there's a lot of intensification, a lot of polarization and stuff that's playing out right now, but we're going to also be offered certain opportunities that will create more destabilization going into November, December, January, February, and possibly into March. And then we will have some other changes. Of course, we have an alternate change that's coming in, another burst coming in on the 21st of December, which is another solstice. That will prepare us for those other stages that we are going into 2021. But 2021 will also have a certain part of its intensities involved for the first couple of months at least, and then possibly a third month. But after that, that's going to change again. Now, many of us are going through some intense work within ourselves, letting go of older aspects of ourselves, letting go of our history. Now, when we're talking about the history, what we're letting go is really basically the labels and definitions that we apply to any experiences that we've had. And, any traumatic aspect, any emotional charges around that and so forth, so that it does not impede us to actually flow and bring those new energies, activating those new codes. As for, the so-called virus and whatever else, and I'm just using the words that they use. I'm not saying that that's what it is, because it isn't. But in essence, as it's being used for one application versus another, at this point in time, we have the option if we're going to use any part of it, because some of it has to do with because of what is mandated. It's pushing us to basically make the decision and go into an empowered state and say, hey, I either comply or don't comply. I choose to support or don't choose to support, or I choose to dissolve it altogether, starting from my own aspects of ourselves. And that will help to transition a lot more quicker and more powerful anyways. So this is the thing. Is it going to kill us? Absolutely not. We made already those agreements. We already have a lot of support to make sure it doesn't go that way. Even though when it was introduced, it had that intent. It did intend to weed down the population in a very powerful way. However, through simulations, it was proven that it was going to be somewhat quite devolving and getting us stuck in a very polarized state, especially very negative. So that made sure that that process didn't take place. So it was changed. Plus, we were upgraded in our own encodement so that should any part of the minimal amount of it be activated, we would have the actual anecdotal codes within ourselves to turn it off or to actually just negate it altogether. Now, it doesn't matter how many codes we have, because we have tons of codes because of all the exposures we've had and all the uploads that we've had, or downloads, I guess, in this case, from the polarized world. We still have absolutely complete free will, what we turn on and don't turn on. A lot of the times the free will may not seem like from a mind, ego, artificial intelligence aspect of ourselves, but it will be from a full spectrum self, being your innate of the body, your human entity, and your soul, engaging and utilizing your mind. And it will be quite different from what your ego and ego/artificial intelligence would dictate and so forth. So that's what we're looking at, the direction of the world and us. We are creating a new world. A lot of people are talking about a new world. The new world is here. It's how much we integrate with it, how much we activate, how much we bring online as we are going through the stages ourselves, because we're bringing more of ourselves online, and then we're bringing more of the new world online. So really, when they're saying it's being stimulated, is what it's stimulating within ourselves to be able to interact with and to enable more of that new world to be represented within our human game and role of planet Earth. But, we're the ones that are actually part and parcel, well, pretty well the integrate part that is actually rolling it out and making that play out at this point in time. So that's where we're going. We're going into very exciting times. We already are in exciting times. We've been already starting to increase the excitement since 1987, more excitement since 2013, being the end of 2012 going into 2013. The end of 2019. So from 2013 going to the end of 2019 going into the next phase, which we are now in 2020, and that will do an upgrade by April of 2021, but that will carry on, and there'll probably be more upgrades along the way. Right now, that's still to be determined, but at the same time, a lot of whatever stage that we're in will carry until the end of 2022, and then basically in 2023 we're going into phase 4 of that upgrade that we've all agreed to be part of. Some of us will be here, some of us may not be here, some of us will stay for a while and leave, other will say, hey, I'm just getting excited, I want to be through every part of it, I don't want to miss any of the action, I don't want to miss any of the opportunities for my contribution and anything else that's playing out in that way. So anyways, that's where we're at. We're it's quite amazing where we're at, and to me there's so much excitement about all that's unfolding, regardless of what we're seeing. Yes, sometimes it can look like it's insane and that it's falling apart, but any new construction requires taking down the old construction. So that's what we're doing. We're taking down older aspects of ourselves and all the rules and stuff that we have created as a reality within ourselves. So as much of the stuff that we believed was true was actually not, because in the inverted matrix it made what was true look like it's false or deniable, and then what was false was actually made into believe as true. So we adopted and supported the experience of that in our life. But all of that is reversing, and it's dissolving in many ways. So it's going to be a fun ride. Hopefully that you will be part of it. I mean, you've already made the choice. You're either an organic 5D or organic 3D at this point in time, with the utilization of 5D and the utilization of 3D, and also utilization of the inverted 3D and 2D for at least until the end of 2022. And then after that, you won't have accessibility any longer to the inverted 3D and 2D or any of the inverted matrix, and also the input of the AI we call the ego pretty well needs to be purged by then. So that's what we've chosen to do. So some of you are very active and have done already a huge part of it. Others have made very minimal and just starting, but that doesn't make any better or worse anybody else, because all of us are exactly where we need to be at this point in time. So let's go out and play. Let's continue to enjoy everything that we are doing at this time. We're doing some phenomenal work together, and we are doing this together in the complete redesigning of the human experience and the playground we call Earth. If you're new, please subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you're watching us on Vimeo, there is a different way where you can follow, so that at least you'll know when new episodes come in. I'll just give you the heads up. We're going to have a new episode every single day for the next while until something changes. Right now it's going to be daily, and it may carry on for months and months before we may alter it. If a necessity is required to do more than one a day, then that will happen also going along. But right now we're starting one per day, so that's what's going on. In the description below, you will also notice you can register through email so that you will get notifications time to time of different workshops, different information that's coming on, different interviews, and so forth. We will be doing some interviews also. And along the way, we'll also, if you're on Facebook, please like it. If you do like it, if you don't, you don't. You can put a comment, and you can share, please. Share with Facebook, share with Vimeo, share with YouTube. We're also going to be on Twitter, and we're going to be also on LinkedIn. And then, of course, the podcast part of it is on Podbean, but it's also now in the process of being available on iTunes or Apple something, I guess it's called, but also on Spotify, and it's also going to be available on different platforms, including Alexa, Google, and a whole bunch of other things. So the podcast will be available. So if you share it with others, the video versions of it will be on the platforms that support videos, and all the audio stuff will be on, the Podbean and all the other different venues, or in this case, platforms that will support just the audio part of it. So please take the time to listen to it. We are providing all of this stuff for free. So if you feel in resonance and want to support our work so we can get it out to more, besides sharing it, you can also contribute. There will be a link at the bottom for contributing through PayPal. We are just setting up a Patreon page so that you can contribute automatically, and you can change that at any point in time. We don't have any exclusive material, because we're trying to provide as much as possible, as free as possible, not to how can I say it, restrict anybody for it because of monetary reasons at this point in time. So it's not about monetary, but at the same time, we have to support all the platforms. We have to support ourselves. We still, are in the money game as much as we're working towards, as a collective to make that obsolete, and which will be part of it. Part of the change we'll find that we won't have the dependence, and we're not going to be in survival. We're being in flourishing state, and so forth. So, and then we also have a link that will provide you opportunities to check out some of our workshops that we have available. So anyways, till next time, go out and play, and have a blast.